Welcome back to the KickNPost YouTube channel and podcast with your hosts Samal Thompson, Matt Avila, Otto DeVries, Chris Perry, and today we're talking running backs. Top 5 running backs in the NFL as of this point. How y'all boys feeling today?
I'm feeling good.
That will never get old.
Feeling good.
Feeling good. Joe Mixon didn't get locked up, so you almost made the list, but you know,
still problematic.
bang bang.
Still problematic. He still hasn't figured it out. Anyway, last time we started from the back.
I think we start from the back again.
I think it's best, honestly.
Hitting me from the back. I like starting from the back. I don't know how you guys usually start. But
All right.
We don't really do top fives or anything like that, but I think starting from the back is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a nice little finisher at the end.
Yeah, because you're kind of like leading up to it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, who's the fifth best running back in the NFL?
We start over there.
Y'all always have Matt starting. Chris, you go first.
No, I said we started over there.
I like that.
Over here.
I appreciate that, Adam.
I guess we'll start with your king, Derrick Henry. Have him at 5.
I got Nick Chubb.
I have Derrick Henry.
I have Josh Jacobs.
All right, so some debate right here.
Okay.
All right, you guys had King Henry. Go ahead.
You go first.
The floor is yours.
I mean, it's a great running back, but the four in front of him are just better this year. I don't know how else to put it. Like, it's an elite company. Sorry, bro.
I love Derrick Henry's just, I guess, ferocity as a runner and how big he is and enforcing, but I feel like at this point in his career, the hits are starting to add up a little bit. And I don't see him as the most versatile running back. And I do cherish that a lot in my running backs. I like somebody who can like pound the ball, but also is a very good player out of the backfield. Like even though I like the pure runners, which we'll get into that, I do like guys who are like a little bit more of a mix. So he kind of lands at 5 on my list.
I feel like Derrick Henry has improved like a decent amount in his pass catching ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
He went from like 0 to like 15. So
yeah.
that's solid, but
But comparing him to some other guys, like,
yeah,
it's just
he's still a little bit behind.
I put Nick Chubb at 5 just because Kareem Hunt's there.
That's true.
Like, Nick Chubb could be a workhorse. I mean, in some cases, he really is. Can catch the ball really well, bounce off tackles, inside, outside, whatever. That's just why he's my number 5.
I mean, I put Josh Jacobs at 5, and he had a great year. You could argue for him to be a little higher, but everybody on this list has a great resume. So it's hard for me to sit here and put him above some of the guys on this list. He has had one really good year. He's had some all right years in the past few ones. So these other guys have had multiple years that were really impressive. So I'm going to go Jacobs at 5.
All right, number
Yeah,
2.
so who's that for?
Or, yeah, 4.
Number 4.
Excuse me.
I got Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
I as well have Josh Jacobs.
I have Dalvin Cook.
Okay. I have Jonathan Taylor.
Okay.
What? KD. The building. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So what's the Josh Jacobs voted for?
Rushing leader.
That's solid.
Can't deny it.
He's just an angry runner, man.
He is.
He is.
He is.
Someone hurt his feelings. Like,
They did. They didn't
They
give him a
did.
contract
They did hurt his
extension.
feelings.
That's why. The first few years in the league, obviously, I don't know if you guys are doing it based on like a totality thing or.
I'm just going into next year.
Yeah, if you guys are just going into next year, I see, but I think he left kind of a sour taste in my mouth the first 2 years he was in the league.
So you're
Granted,
hurt.
a little bit. I was a huge Josh Jacobs believer, like his going into his second year, and I feel like there was a lot of issues with injury and stuff like that. Obviously, he's in his contract year and he balls out, but I could have a little bit predicted that. Like, you have to play this year. You're probably not playing again. You have to do it this year. So I would like to see how he performs next year once he gets his contract. That's it for me with him, but I can understand him being there, especially being the rushing leader behind a line that was pretty buns. So that's a solid performance from himself. But yeah, I said Dalvin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Big question mark there.
Yeah, I love the production over his career so far. This year was a little bit tough with injuries, but when I still see him on the field, I think the top end speed is still a little bit there. He's a great pass catcher as well. He does it pretty well. When he gets to the red zone, he's somewhat efficient, but he does have issues sometimes with kind of like you can't really call it issue. He falls short, but like I think he's a solid red zone runner as well. And I still think he's a factor as a running back, especially with the Vikings. So I think he's natural talent. He's up there.
Me, I got JT. First 2 years was really good. Past year, he had injuries going on. Wasn't really that good. But when he's playing and he's healthy, he's amazing. He's a great runner. Runs with a lot of force. I still think you can make a debate for him to even be a top 2 kind of guy when he's healthy. But as of right now, especially with last year in the situation, I'm gonna go with 4 for now.
All right. Moving on to 3.
Get the boy Barkley at 3.
I have Derrick Henry at 3. The king.
Got Barkley at 3.
I have Nick Chubb at 3.
Interesting. Start with you. Why Chubb at 3?
I just think he's also one of those guys he's a great runner of the football, has great vision, has a lot of power behind it. He's had multiple years of some great production. I know that Kareem Hunt's there, but if we're not looking at this from a fantasy aspect, we're looking at it when I give him the ball, how well does he do? I think he's a top 3 guy.
I picked Derrick Henry and put him at 3 just because that's like what their whole offense is predicated off of. I know he's getting a little bit older, but I mean, if he's still going to get the touches, like who knows what they do in the draft, if they draft a running back or whatever. They drafted Hassan Haskins last year, but he's just been the guy, always has been since he took over, and I'm riding it until he's done.
That's fair. That's fair.
I got
That sounded really.
I was about to say pause, but that's cool. Let's go right until we finish. That's nuts. Anyway, go ahead.
No, he's
Chris.
not wrong. That's why I have Barkley at 3 because you can see when he's a focal point of the offense, they can get to the playoffs. Like he makes everyone better around him when he's just on the field. Daniel Jones had a career year. No coincidence.
Yeah.
So it's just what he brings to the table. Like that's might not be pretty all the time, but once you see how they use him throughout the game, it's like without him, they wouldn't have done what they did this year. So.
And the only reason I have Saquon at 3 and not higher is I'm still hesitant on how he looked this year. He had good spells and he looked good, but in certain aspects of his game where it would be like home run hitters, they're still halfway there. I think he's still building himself back. There's some where he had like a lot of grass in front of him and he just wasn't able to hit that second speed. And I think the guy I have above him at this spot has that second speed still. But yeah. We'll get into it.
Number 2.
Got good old CMC, Mr. McCaffrey.
I got Saquon.
I got CMC.
I have Saquon.
Okay.
Okay. You want to?
Saquon is my 2 because I feel like he's really, honestly, underutilized in the pass game. You saw it a lot his rookie year, a little bit of his second year, but this man used to get like 7 targets a game. He doesn't get that production now, but he could, and he could do it all. He's a very complete back. That's why I have him at number 2.
And since me and him both agree, I'm in a total agreement. He can do the whole package, catch the ball, run the ball. Anything you really need him to do, he can do. So.
And this guy also does that. But like the speed is still there, the burst is still there. I think he's a little bit better of a natural receiver than him. And when healthy, the production has just been insane. Any roster you drop him on, he's just been able to kind of become the focal point, even if he wasn't. It took about 3 weeks in San Francisco. Obviously, there was Elijah Mitchell injury that kind of gatewayed that as well. But he gets there and becomes practically the whole offense. They use him everywhere. So I had to give him that number 2 spot. But I think my number 1 might be a bit controversial. But we'll get into it.
Well, you got the same number
It's
1
not
though,
18.
so.
I don't think we do.
We're about to find out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's hit from that side again. We got number 1.
I have CMC at number 1.
I got Nick Chubb at number 1.
I respect
I have Kyle Juszczyk. He's just the best fullback in the league.
Obviously.
CMC is my pick.
Really? Okay. Yeah, so I'd be mad. Austin Eckler at 1.
Sheesh.
Wow.
Yeah. Now let's hear that one.
We need to
Yeah.
hear about
Go
that.
ahead.
Let's
I
let's
don't
hear
know.
this
I
man
haven't been on
average
this train.
2 yards a carry.
I just
Wow.
got into this train this year, but like I feel like I've disrespected Austin Eckler a lot, to even having the top 3 conversation.
Boy
Like, I
scores
think he belongs.
touchdowns.
He scores. Yeah, like the way that he is or can be used, like everywhere on the field, it's like he puts him into the conversation like a Barkley, CMC, but it's just not as explosive, not as fast, but he gets it done. Like
Still doing the guy
So that's
not
warranted
as
for the
fast,
number
not
1
as
spot.
explosive.
Just
Above
getting
the
it
guy
I
done.
think
scoring
based off what
fast
we've
is
seen the past
explosive.
couple years,
Right?
yeah.
So you're like a B plus was good enough. Like why get the A
I mean,
plus?
he was A plus what last 2 years?
I mean, I don't think he was an A plus. He didn't even have 1,000 rushing yards this year.
Yeah.
I've always thought to
He's-
myself, I'd love to have a less explosive McCaffrey or a less explosive Barkley.
Yeah,
I'm
like
saying he gets it done.
That's always been my
so like a B is good, but why have a name when you can have a B?
Let
You
me
know,
not
like,
he's a great receiving back.
If Dave
Yeah,
watches this,
he is a
he
great
will have
receiving
some words for you because
I hope
right.
they watch
negative
this.
A. Eckler over here.
We might need to send him this, to be honest,
Yeah.
because he doesn't even have him as a top 32 back, which is a bit disrespectful.
That's emotional.
Yeah. But we're not here to
Eckler top 10, not top 5 for me.
we're not here to poop on him. I would have Eckler top 10. And what is it? 20 touchdowns in 2 years or back to back years or something like that.
Yeah.
Insane. But yeah.
We're talking about fantasy.
Yeah, fantasy is top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for the
Wait,
rest
we're
of
talking
the
about fantasy, right?
No, we're just talking.
See me and Chris are the same.
Oh God!
Me and Chris are the same. We didn't make that clear.
But then we cleared it up.
Because my wide receiver list was the same way. I said that I thought we were doing fantasy for
I
redraft.
cleared it for you.
So clearly you didn't clear it well enough because half the people here didn't know.
No, that's cool. Hey, new video.
Okay, we'll just put over his head Chris's top 5 fantasy backlist.
Chris McCaffrey is my number 1
Yeah.
because he's just goated.
For
And he
me,
plays for the
It's
Niners.
that simple, I guess.
Can I leave on that?
that's why we were all like,
He comes in, makes the difference. He can play any role on a team. He can play any role on anybody's team. Most versatile back.
for me,
Say-
if I'm
say
an
what you
owner
say.
of an organization,
So can Eckler cannot.
I want CMC.
I was about to say, if you're an owner of an organization, you don't want to see him senior backfield. That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
The only reason I don't.
One-on-one.
The only reason I don't want him in my backfield is because I can't have Chubb. Not kidding. The reason I have Chubb, and I think it's a little bit of a situation, he is keeping someone who used to be on this list as a second back. I think that isn't displayed enough. Somebody who was in this argument in terms of versatility and the way he runs the ball. We know why. Obviously, he ended up in Cleveland. He wanted to play a different position for a night, but
That's why you got the shade on.
Nick Chubb is still able to hold that starting spot. I don't think there's many teams where if you put that player, Kareem Hunt, on that team, he'd be riding the bench as the secondary or the 1B for this long. So I think to be able to keep him at bay and still produce at a very high level, even with that guy in your backfield, I have to give you some credit because it's not like we just have some random scrub behind you. Like you're literally that's an elite player that's waiting in the wings. You're able to keep him back there. So that's how I see it.
I'm glad you didn't have JT in your top 5.
Yeah,
That makes me happy. Because
Yeah.
you're like a JT truth.
I love JT, but I need more time with him. I think the line is really good. I think the performances we're getting from him before he got injured weren't the best, honestly. Not from a fantasy perspective, but just in general. I think he was struggling a little bit to begin the year. And not to say the injury saved him from criticism, but he didn't. It kind of did. If he finished out the year having a rough year, there'd be a lot more noise than him just going down with injury and we just running it back next year. So I got to see another year of JT, but yeah, I don't have him currently my top 5 running backs in the league. But if this was a different list, yeah. All right. Any closing thoughts?
Our next video will be on top 5 fullbacks in the league. Just sneak peek my number 1, Kyle Juszczyk. Number 2.
Hey, Chris, you want to talk fullbacks?
And on that note, all right, y'all boys.